Škoda is a Czech company and one of the largest car manufacturers in Central and Eastern Europe. Over more than 100 years of operation, the Czechs have produced just about everything. They made bicycles, motorcycles, trucks, buses, and passenger cars. Today, the main product in the company's lineup remains passenger cars, which have played the biggest role in establishing Škoda's reputation as one of the world's most renowned automotive brands. But there was one exception in the Czech automaker's history, which involved the production of its own minivan, the Škoda 1203 model. Neither before nor after did this company produce this type of vehicle. And the start of this exceptional period took place in the mid-50s, when Škoda, not wanting to stay on the sidelines of the minivan and van boom spreading across Europe and the world, decided to launch its own program to develop a van. Such small vehicles with a wagon-style layout made it possible to use the limited-length chassis as efficiently as possible. These vehicles offered greater passenger capacity and payload. There was something in between a passenger car and a bus, and a passenger car and a truck. These vehicles were especially popular among small business owners and farmers, who no longer needed to drive a multi-ton truck just to pick up a few sacks of potatoes or carrots from the field. Also, minibuses built on their base became excellent substitutes for full-sized buses with their excessive passenger capacity for small businesses or organizations. Small vans were especially valued in cities, where they took on the role of delivery vehicles. The countries of the socialist bloc were playing catch-up in this regard. Starting from the mid-1950s, they began to actively develop their own van and minibus production programs, which, after the appearance of the famous Volkswagen Transporter in the late 1940s, had become true bestsellers in the global automotive industry. At this time, Poland became the center of socialist van manufacturing, where work began on creating the Zug and Nysa models. The USSR was not far behind either, with the design of the RAF minibuses and UZ 450 Bakenka vans in full swing. The Czech automaker would also join this program. The new van with a wagon-style layout was meant to replace the outdated Škoda 1201 and Škoda 1202 station wagons with backbone frames, which, in their van and pickup forms, were used as commercial vehicles in the late 50s and early 60s. In the pickup body style, these vehicles could carry up to 710 kilograms of cargo. In the van version, the payload capacity was only 650 kilograms. As for the base station wagon, its cabin could accommodate 5 people, including the driver. As we can see, this Škoda station wagon was primarily a passenger car, poorly suited for performing the functions of a commercial vehicle. That's why the idea of building a proper van of their own was completely justified and matched the spirit of the times and the needs of the automotive market. Design work on the Škoda 1203 minibus began at the start of 1956. They decided to create the new vehicle using the popular layout of the time, a fully metal body with a van-style configuration. To speed up the process as much as possible and reduce costs, it was decided to unify the vehicle's component base as much as possible with the models that were current at the time. Work progressed quite quickly, and by September 1956, the company had already produced the first 3 experimental prototypes with the factory designation 979, which were equipped with a 1.2-liter engine producing 36 horsepower. To maximize the interior space, the van's power unit was placed in front of the front axle. It can't be said that the first attempt, meaning the van, by Škoda turned out badly. The vehicle received a rather original, compact, and symmetrical body with a lot of chrome on the exterior. The radiator grille, headlight frames, bumpers, side moldings, and wheel covers were all chrome-plated. While the overall design of the minibus was acceptable, the engineering feature of having the engine extended in front of the front axle negatively affected weight distribution and made the vehicle difficult to handle. 6 months later, in March 1957, the company created several prototypes of the second series of the minibus, which featured the classic 1950s car design with rounded body lines, helping to make the interior more spacious. The shape of the front panel also changed, becoming more contoured, and it received a new massive radiator grille shaped like a catfish's mouth. The 2 round headlights were moved to the upper edges of the minibus's front end, and the only thing that remained unchanged is the abundance of chrome elements in the exterior. In July 1957, Škoda presented the only prototype of the 3rd series, in which the engine was moved back and installed above the front axle, which greatly improved the vehicle's maneuverability. Apart from the repositioned engine, The third series was almost identical to the second. But that's not all. The Czechs were probably motivated by the saying, "There's no limit to perfection." In March 1958, they presented yet another prototype, this time the fourth series, whose body lines already hinted at the distinctive design of the production model. During the testing of all the prototype vehicles, another significant drawback was discovered, which again concerned the engine. But this time, the problem wasn't with the placement of the power unit, but with its insufficient technical specifications. 36 horsepower was not enough to provide the necessary dynamics for a fairly large and spacious minibus. So it was decided to install a more powerful 52 horsepower engine in the minibus, which had been developed for the military vehicle Škoda 973. In addition, the prototype was equipped with a torsion rear suspension from the Tatra 805 vehicle. The final design of the vehicle, prepared for mass production, was completed in 1961–62. It took a long 6 years from the start of the design work to the finished pre-production minibus model. It seemed that just a little more time and the Škoda 1206 would find its place on the Škoda factory's assembly line. But things didn't turn out as expected. As it turned out later, over those 6 years, the Czech minibus had only made it halfway to the assembly line, and there would be another 6 years of trials and tribulations before the first production vehicles would find their customers. And this happened in 1968, meaning that from the start of the minibus's development to its mass production, a long 12 years had passed. It's just hard to wrap your head around. Even the Apollo space program, which was initiated by US President John F. Kennedy in May 1961 with the goal of sending a manned mission to the moon, achieved its objective in just 9 years, when Apollo 11 astronaut Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon for the first time on July 20th, 1969. Was creating a new car really a harder and more complicated task than designing a spacecraft? Obviously, it was not. So why did the development and mass production of the Škoda minibus take longer than the preparation of the American Apollo space mission? Maybe Czech engineers and designers were less skilled and competent than, say, their colleagues from Poland or the Soviet Union, who between 1958 and 1960 successfully completed their van and minibus programs, launching the Zuk, Nisa, and UEZ 450 models into mass production? No, and again, no. At that time, the Czech automotive industry was one of the most advanced in the entire socialist bloc. So everything related to the direct development process happened quite quickly and professionally. Delays began already at the stage of putting the car into mass production, and they were caused by the excessive bureaucracy of the state-run economy in general, and the automotive sector in particular. The Škoda enterprise, for example, could not independently conduct its production activities, as, say, private car companies in the West are able to do. The Czechs could not independently make decisions about putting a particular car into production, were deprived of the right to freely manage their own budgets, or to determine their own development strategy. All these functions were delegated to a higher state governing body, such as the Ministry of Automotive Industry, which in turn operated within the framework of a general plan that applied to all socialist countries of Eastern Europe. The coordination of the development of socialist economies, as well as the creation and allocation of the plan, was carried out by a state body, the Council for Mutual Economic Assistance, which determined the specialization of each country and allocated quotas for the production of various goods. So, according to the decision of the Council for Mutual Economic Assistance, the Škoda plant was to specialize primarily in the production of passenger cars, while everything else was funded on a residual basis. It was precisely the lack of funding and the failure to set up separate assembly lines and purchase new stamping equipment that led to a 12-year delay in Škoda's production of its own minibuses and vans. One can only sincerely sympathize with the Czechs here, because they could very well have been the first among the countries of the socialist bloc to put their own minibus or van into mass production. In 1968, the Czechs finally received permission to launch their long-suffering minibus into production. Only now, the Škoda 1203 was no longer that glamorous, flashy, classically styled car of the 50s with sculpted body lines and dazzling chrome. It was now a restrained, utilitarian van with minimal exterior decoration and a unique trapezoidal body design that tapered upward from all sides. Another distinctive design feature was the narrow radiator grille, flanked on both sides by round headlights. By 1968, the engine power had increased to 64 horsepower, which allowed the vehicle, weighing 1 ton and 170 kilograms, to reach a top speed of 95 kilometers per hour. The van's transmission was a 4-speed manual. It was the vans, as the most in-demand type of commercial vehicle, that were the first to roll off the assembly line at the plant in the city of Wrocław. They featured a 2-seat, 4-door body design with a payload capacity of 950 kilograms. The cab was separated from the cargo compartment by a solid metal partition. Later, production of 8-seat minibuses began, followed by such modifications as a 5-seat cargo passenger version and a delivery flatbed truck with a payload capacity of 1 ton. Ambulances, funeral service vehicles, and refrigerated trucks were also produced. In addition, specialized versions were made for the police, fire department, and veterinary services. Although the vehicle did not impress with any special dynamic or driving characteristics, it remained in demand by state enterprises and organizations for carrying out various transportation tasks. It was this versatility that was the main advantage of these vehicles. Unlike the Polish or Soviet vans, the Czech vehicle stood out with its fully independent suspension. In the front, it featured a coiled spring suspension on double wishbones with hydraulic telescopic shock absorbers and an anti-roll bar. At the rear, it had a swing axle design with trailing arms, shock absorbers, and longitudinal torsion bars. The vehicle's braking system was of the drum type, but after 1986, the front brakes were upgraded to disc brakes. The Czech company understood well that all the delays with mass production meant that by the late 1960s, the newly launched car was already rapidly becoming outdated. Therefore, at the beginning of the 1970s, work began on modernizing the 1203 model, which resulted in the creation of a new prototype van, the Škoda 778. This prototype featured a more spacious interior with a minimalist design that was trendy in the 1970s, characterized by straight, sharp, and clear body lines with minimal or even no exterior decoration. Overall, the prototype looked promising, but unfortunately, the necessary funds for its mass production were never allocated. The unreleased new van was not the company's only failure. In fact, it was just one of several unrealized projects that were cut off at the root by officials from the relevant ministries and agencies of socialist Czechoslovakia. Another promising vehicle could have been the light universal cargo platform Škoda 988 Agromobile, which was intended for use in rural areas to transport crops from the fields. It was based on the components and assemblies of Škoda vans, but unlike them, it featured a simplified platform with a canvas top. If needed, the windshield frame and doors could be easily removed, and the sides of the body could be folded down to make loading and unloading easier. It was planned that mass production of these light farm transporters would be set up at the Českoslovakia factory. But like many other interesting Škoda vehicles, the light transporter never went into mass production. Instead, the Czechoslovak government, in order to meet the growing needs of the national economy for small delivery vans, decided not to spread efforts and funds on introducing new models, but to focus on increasing the production of already existing vans. Since 1973, alongside Wrocław, mass production of the 1203 model was established at the Trnava automobile plant in the Slovak city of Trnava. In the 1970s, the van underwent significant modernization. To meet the safety standards of the time, the vehicle received a new plastic radiator grille, new headlights, rubber bumper pads, a dual-circuit braking system, and a plastic instrument panel. In Slovakia, the vehicle was produced under its own separate name, the TZ1203. In 1981, in order to free up production space to increase the output of its passenger car models, the Škoda company stopped producing vans at the Wrocław plant, transferring their production entirely to the Trnava automobile plant. In total, from 1968 to 1981, 69,727 Škoda 1203 vehicles were produced in the Czech Republic, and van production in the city of Trnava continued until 1999. In 1993, after the creation of the separate Czech and Slovak republics, a new model was even released, the TZ 1500, which was equipped with an improved inline 4-cylinder 1.4-liter engine producing 57 horsepower and a new 5-speed gearbox. The maximum speed of this car increased to 115 km per hour. In addition, the new model received the must-have feature for any van, sliding side doors. Overall, the Škoda van project lasted for more than 40 years. Now, after the Czech car manufacturer became part of the Volkswagen Group, the release of new minibuses is not planned for the time being, considering that this type of vehicle is already present in the lineup of the German car company. But that didn't stop Škoda designer Daniel Hajek in 2021 as part of the Icons Get a Makeover project from creating a visual graphic model of his vision of what the Škoda 1203 van could look like in our time.